Hey guys, it's Mr. Fraser again, ready to go over the 5 days of daily language review for week one, right? So, actually, I'm gonna flip this. Let's take a look at Monday. So, a couple things we had to do here. We had to correct the sentences. Even though in class, lots of times some of us start our sentences with lowercase letters, we're always very good at finding other people's mistakes. This is the one we see like right away. So we have to start seeing it in our writing also, now that we're doing these, and ending with punctuation. Sometimes we forget this in class, but when somebody else does it, again, it's so apparent that they forgot it. But we have to start recognizing that in our writing too. So for Monday, this first sentence, obviously, they didn't start with a capital. Well, let's read what they wrote. They said, "Has you ever been to a audition for a play?" So we know has to go. So it should read, "Have you ever..." Ooh, look at that. There's another mistake I made. "Have you ever been to an audition?" So we had to change a to an because you use an when the word afterwards starts with a vowel. So if the word starts with a, e, I, o, or u, sometimes y, then you have to use the article an instead of a. So since audition started with an A, we used an audition. So have you ever been to an audition for a play? Question mark. They're asking a question, so we end with a question mark. Okay. I should have checked over my work there. Number two, again, we see it doesn't start with a capital letter, and also it's a contraction, so we need our little apostrophe there. So they wrote, "We're glad that Sammy is on our team this year." So they meant to say "we are." So "were" with an apostrophe is the contraction for "we are." This shows that we're just missing one letter, the A, that would have spelled "are." So we're glad that Sammy, who's person, so should start with a capital letter, it's a proper noun, right, is on our team. This is our, like 60 Minutes. This is us. So it was on our team this year, period. I don't think you would have been wrong if you used exclamation point. They could have been very glad, but either way would be fine. So this skill, they give you a word and they say, is this singular? Does this mean one single thing, or is it plural? Does it mean more than one? And the word is oxen, and it's plural because it means more than one ox. You can have one ox, or if you have two, you have two oxen. It's an irregular plural that we went over earlier this year in ELA. So 2 words that rhyme with truth could be a lot of different words. There's many words that rhyme. They don't even list them all in the answer key. 2 that I thought of right away are booth, and this one, since our story was about kids trying to solve a mystery, I picked sleuth. It means, it's another word for detective. So you could have had tooth. I don't know. There's a lot more. So as long as yours rhyme with truth, you're good. Choose the word that best completes the sentence. Blank, you finished making your bed yet? So the best one for this is aren't, which really means it's a contraction for are not, but we don't really say, "Are not you finished making your bed?" We're used to the contraction, "Aren't you finished making your bed?" We don't use ain't, right? My mother used to say to me when I was growing up, if we ever said the word ain't, she would tell us this rhyme. She would say, there once was a boy who said ain't. He fell into a bucket of paint. He said with a shout, if I ever get out, I'll say isn't or aren't, not ain't. That's what I grew up with. Tuesday. Antonyms. We know they're like opposites. They're not like synonyms that are almost the same, right? So antonyms are opposites. The opposite of build is destroy. As long as you have something that's the opposite of build, you're okay. Tidy means clean and organized. So an antonym for tidy would be messy. Disorganized, you could add several things there, but this is probably the most common. Correcting sentences again. Alan, it's a person's name, proper noun, so it's got to start with a capital. It's also the first word in the sentence, so it has to be capitalized. They wrote, Alan watched TV from 6:30 to 8:30 last night. Well, he watched TV, right? We're talking about something that happened in the past, so it's past tense, so we had to add ed. Alan watched television from 6:30. When we're showing time, we have to show these two dots, 6:30 to 8:30 last night, and we have to end our sentence with some type of punctuation. In this case, it was just a period. Them boys rides the bus to school every day. So that has a lot wrong with it, right? It's more than one boy, so it's those boys ride. I had to get rid of the S. The bus to school. So this is more than one. This is two things. This is going towards something. So to school, not ever. They write it every day, period. And what type of sentence is this? This is one of the first things we did in ELA this year. This is an exclamatory sentence because it shows great feeling. Ouch, that hurts. And it would end with an exclamation point. Wednesday, we start with correcting sentences. Weren't had to be capitalized, and we had to add the apostrophe to show that we're missing the O there. So it's were not, but we use the contraction and apostrophe. So it says weren't there no cookies left. So there, this is, something that belongs to somebody. It's theirs. So we had to change that to the there that means a place, or weren't there any. We don't say no cookies. We say any cookies left, and it's a question. So it's an interrogative sentence, so we need to have a question mark at the end. Why can't Jerome never get here on time? So we had to capitalize first word. Can't, we have to have our apostrophe there, otherwise it's incorrect because it's a conjunction, a contraction, sorry. Jerome is a person, so he's got to have a capital starting his name. You could have switched never with the word ever. I just took it out. And so I just wrote, why can't Jerome get here on time? You could have wrote, why can't Jerome ever get here on time? And again, it's a question, so we have to end with a question mark. This next one, I don't know if you've done this skill. These are analogies. They'll probably come up on this week's daily review. So an analogy is just, it takes two words and it sort of makes a comparison of them or some type of relationship between them. So you have to figure out how they're related to figure out the second part of the second comparison. So they said when you see these two dots between words, it means you could also say is to. So like they're related. So I'll show you. You could also say height is 2 inches. And then you could say as or like weight is to what? So the relationship here is height and inches. How are they the same? Or how are they related to each other. Well, your height is measured in inches. They might say you're 42 inches tall. So weight, how do we measure weight? Well, we use pounds, or we could use ounces. So you could have a couple different answers there. So that one might be a little bit tricky. I don't know if we really have gone over analogies, so that's how they work. This is just like talking about a setting, right? A setting in a story is where the story takes place. So the umpire yelled, "You're out." We probably all know that happens at a ballpark, right? Or you could say a baseball game, whatever. What is the root? The same thing. You could call it a root word or a base word of the word illegal. So illegal means you're not allowed to do it by law. The root word is legal. So when you add the IL to it, it changes it from being something you're allowed to do to something that's against the law. Excuse me. So Thursday, what's the correct abbreviation for ounce? So this is the weight measurement, ounce. And for this one, it's OZ. We did some conversions in math this year, so you probably remember this from math class. You probably remember also sometimes they don't make sense. Why is there a Z in ounces? It's because it comes from a Latin word. This one, this one I think is actually Italian. It's when you spell the word ounce in Italian, it has a Z in it. It's pronounced differently, but that's where that came from. This one is a little bit outdated. So what reference source, like where would you go to find the meaning of the word, etiquette? So where would you find the definition of a word? For this one, we would use a dictionary. I know lots of us, you might have wrote Google on here, but the reference source is a dictionary. It's just an online dictionary now. So to fix these sentences, we had to start with a capital. The girl's name had to start with a capital. We had to put an apostrophe because it's her ice skates. So we had to show possession by putting an apostrophe there. We just took out the word there. This symbol means just get rid of it. And we had to add a period to our sentence. Next one had to start with capital as well. What time are we due at Miss Grimson's recital? So the word due, when it means what time, like a due date, what time are we due there? Are we supposed to arrive? That's D-U-E, so we had to change that. Miss is a particular person, so we start that with capital letters. And Grimson also, we had to put in an apostrophe here because it's the recital, her recital. And so we had to show possession with the apostrophe, and it's a question. You know, questions often start with what, where, why, and so we had to end with a question mark. Now they just want you to know which words, so hopefully you got more than one, have 3 syllables. So vertical has 3, equation has 3, temperature has 4, so it's not this one, and decorate has 3. So 1, 2, 3 of those words have 3 syllables. All right, we made it to Friday. Friday was an easier one, I think. You had to pick the best word that completes the sentence. And it's really talking about if it compares it to something else or if it's just talking about the thing itself. So let's look at it. The lion growled louder than the lioness. So this is just comparing the male lion with the female lion. So he growled louder than her. Tanya draws, it's only talking about Tanya, not comparing her to anybody. So Tanya draws well. Lots of times we say good, but when somebody does something and they're good at it, we say they draw well. She's good at drawing, she draws well. My grandfather is kinder than most men, so this person's comparing their grandfather to all men. Miss Gee is the oldest person in Wisconsin, so everybody in this state they're comparing her to. So out of everybody, she's the oldest. And the mall is very busy every day of the week. It's not busier on Monday than it is Tuesday. They're talking about every day it's busy. So that was Daily Language Review. We are going to start with week 2 today. And contact me if you need anything, guys. Hope to see you soon. Bye.